Have you ever wondered if life really has a meaning, or if that's just something we tell ourselves to keep going? Albert Camus, the French-Algerian writer and philosopher, dared to look this question straight in the eye. Instead of fleeing from the emptiness of existence, he wrestled with it, named it, and gave it a philosophy: the absurd. His response didn't lead to despair but to an invitation, a new way of living with courage, honesty, and even joy. Today, when millions feel lost in an age of crises, digital distractions, and vanishing certainties, Camus's message resonates louder than ever. Life is absurd, but that doesn't mean it isn't worth living. Born in 1913 in French Algeria, Camus grew up under the Mediterranean sun, surrounded by poverty, war, and injustice. His father died in World War I before Camus even knew him. His mother, almost illiterate and partially deaf, raised him with little means. Yet young Albert's brilliance shone early. A teacher recognized his potential and opened doors that would change his life forever. This experience gave Camus a lasting conviction. Even in an indifferent world, small acts of kindness and solidarity can radically alter a destiny. His entire philosophy reflects this early truth, that the human spirit can rise above circumstances, not through illusions, but through authenticity and defiance. The cornerstone of his thought is the concept of the absurd. What does it mean? For Camus, it's the collision between two forces: our deep human need for clarity, order, and meaning, and the silent, indifferent universe that refuses to give it. We seek answers to the why of existence, but the world responds with silence. Religion promises meaning, ideology promises justice, science promises truth, but none can ultimately satisfy the yearning for total understanding. That gap, that confrontation, is the absurd. Most people, Camus argued, respond to this unbearable tension in two ways. Either they cling to illusions, such as religion or rigid ideologies, or they surrender to despair. Camus rejected both. To escape into false hope is dishonest. To embrace nihilism is self-destructive. Instead, he called for something far more radical. We must face the absurd without flinching, without escaping, and still choose to live. He summed it up in one of philosophy's most shocking statements: there is only one really serious philosophical problem: suicide. But this wasn't a celebration of death. On the contrary, it was a challenge. If life is meaningless, why not end it? And Camus's answer was powerful, because even without ultimate meaning, life can be lived fully, passionately, and authentically. This is the central message of The Myth of Sisyphus, his most famous philosophical essay. In it, Camus retells the Greek myth of Sisyphus, the man condemned by the gods to roll a boulder up a mountain only to see it roll back down for all eternity. For Camus, Sisyphus represents the human condition. Our lives may feel repetitive, circular, and without ultimate purpose, yet Camus imagines Sisyphus happy. Why? Because once he accepts the futility of his task, he takes ownership of it. The struggle itself becomes his meaning. By embracing the absurd and refusing to be crushed by it, Sisyphus transforms punishment into triumph. This insight is not just abstract. Camus lived it. He wasn't a distant academic but a man of action, resisting fascism, speaking against colonial injustice, and writing novels that gave voice to the silent questions of millions. In The Stranger, his protagonist Merceau refuses to lie about life's meaning, even in the face of death. In The Plague, he portrays ordinary people fighting an epidemic not because they believe they will win, but because decency requires it. For Camus, meaning doesn't come from the universe. It comes from us, from our choices, our solidarity, our courage. And this is what makes Camus so vital today. In an era of climate crisis, political polarization, and dizzying technological change, we too face the absurd. We scroll endlessly through feeds, chase after success, and cling to narratives that promise certainty. Yet beneath it all lurks the same silent question: what is the point? Camus offers no easy answers, only honesty. Life is absurd, but instead of seeing that as a curse, he turns it into liberation. If there's no predetermined meaning, then we are free to create our own. If the universe doesn't care, then our small acts of care matter even more. His vision was not naive optimism. He acknowledged suffering, injustice, and tragedy with brutal clarity. But he believed that in spite of it all, or rather because of it all, we could rebel against the absurd, not by denying it but by living with dignity and joy within it. To live without appeal, as he put it. To embrace the sun, the sea, friendship, love, and the small, fleeting moments of beauty that make existence worthwhile. He often said he had learned more from the streets of Algiers and the brightness of the Mediterranean than from any philosophy book. To live in the present, to savor the sunlight, was for him an act of defiance. Camus called this stance revolt. Not revolt as in violent revolution, but revolt as in the daily decision to keep going, to keep creating, to keep loving, even when faced with life's absurdity. In revolt we refuse resignation. We refuse false consolations. We refuse despair. We choose life here and now without appeal to any higher authority. This, for Camus, is the highest form of freedom. It's no coincidence that Camus inspired generations of readers, activists, and artists. His philosophy deeply influenced existentialist thinkers, though he rejected the label himself. He inspired dissidents living under totalitarian regimes, environmentalists fighting against destruction, and individuals struggling with personal despair. He gave permission to acknowledge the void without collapsing into it. Even his death in 1960, at just 46 years old in a sudden car accident, seems strangely in tune with his philosophy. Abrupt, absurd, meaningless. And yet his works continue to live, reminding us that the value of a life is not measured in years or in cosmic purpose, but in the intensity with which it is lived. So what does Camus teach us today in our fractured and distracted world? That maybe the goal is not to solve life's mystery but to live it fully. That freedom comes not from answers but from acceptance. That our dignity lies in choosing how to carry the weight of existence, even if we can never put it down. Life is absurd, yes, but as Camus insists, it can still be beautiful. As you finish this video, think of Sisyphus endlessly pushing his stone. Think of Camus writing under the North African sun, saying yes to life without illusions. And think of your own daily struggles, the routines, the setbacks, the challenges. What if you too could look at them and instead of despairing, smile in defiance? What if you too could embrace the absurd and live anyway? That, Camus would say, is the secret to freedom. So perhaps the question is not, what is the meaning of life? But rather, how can we live meaningfully, even knowing life has no ultimate meaning? That is the art of living according to Camus. That is why, against all odds, we must imagine Sisyphus happy.